Welcome back. So, just wanted to spend a little bit more time on creating rules, some maybe context and basics around it. Again, you do that, you're logged in, you go to transactions, and then you select rules here, and then you hit create rule. Something that's important aside from the technical activity of creating rules is really wallet design, because that really drives your ability to create rules in the long term. So usually what we find is that perhaps when you start out, you're probably 90 to 100% individual categorizations, and then over time, as you understand the nature of your activity and as you understand how wallets have been structured, you gradually increase to rule based. So it's important that your finance team is able to work with product and engineering to really create purposeful wallets that do certain activities, and that helps with the categorization. It's actually just good business process design overall in the first place. And then it kind of as a extra benefit helps with the accounting side. Um, the second thing to sort of cover here that we didn't cover previously was one of the options in categorizations is ignore. So this is often very useful when there is an entire period that we want to ignore. So everything earlier than 2017, we don't want to do anything with. So you could select the wallet, give the name ignore activity before X time, and then you can actually set the date um, for that appropriately, and it'll essentially set all of those transactions to ignore. You'd have to select inbound or outbound, and that sort of thing. You can do it for a specific coin as well. All of those parameters still work for ignore, but that's just a capability that often gets used. Again, this is something that you want to have appropriate documentation for, to ensure auditability, as you know, probably management and also auditors and others on the accounting team will need to understand the purpose for ignoring certain activity. The other thing that we talked about a little bit, but I just wanted to reemphasize, is this priority. So when you have a situation where there's a rule that would affect that a transaction, or where you have multiple rules that would affect a single transaction, then priority becomes valuable. A good example of this is, for example, let's say you set up a rule for ETH. You can call it new rule, and for ETH, you want to do a simple categorization, outbound ETH to automobile expense, but you specifically want that to go to a certain contact, right? So this would be priority one, but the rest of the coins in the wallet you want to go to another contact. So maybe something like this, and then you create a priority two on this. So what would happen is the rule will run first for for the first rule. The first run would affect all the ETH transactions in that wallet, and it would have categorized those, and then secondarily the second priority rule will run and perform this. So that is another piece to consider in this whole process. And then finally, just want to reemphasize that it's advisable, our advice would be to not use auto reconcile until you're pretty advanced in rule making and you've actually seen, in a number of month ends of your rules appropriately categorized, and there's a high degree of confidence in the activity coming through the wallet and then the categorization of it, to where there's no need for that second step of reviewing and reconcile to sync, because what this function does is it actually syncs directly to your ERP. Other than that, that will cover it at the most basic level.